Welcome, Warlords, to Saga Thursday, your weekly source for Saga, the miniatures game content. Today we are picking up where we left off last week with part 2 of our Crusaders battle board review. I am Rodge, and Fredrik is helping me out with this one, so let's jump right in.
Let's go to victory. So it's another melee ability, also paid for with 1 common dice. Which is really nice. It says it may only be used on a unit of at least 4 knights that engaged an enemy in melee. So it's the same requirements as
Hearthguard.
Okay. Yeah. So it says reduce your armor by 2.
Not liking that, Fredrik.
Wait for it. It gets better. During step 5, the defender must discard 3 successful defense dice.
Successful defense dice. So after the roll. So that is pretty brutal because that's probably all your hits are going to kill guys, basically, unless you're rolling like 20 dice for whatever reason.
So of course, it's a double-edged sword. It's not nice to reduce my armor by 2. But hopefully I can engage a target that has maybe 1 fatigue. So when I move in, I can first increase my armor, and then I use this to decrease my armor again.
Okay, so 5 down to 3, up to 4. Is there any other way to get it up in the remaining abilities, or are you just stuck at 4 pretty much?
Stuck at 4. But usually I don't play this ability on my mounted Hearthguard because they're too precious to be thrown away. So the trick here is that, as I said, if I see a target that I need to delete, I will just send away my Great Axe Hearthguard. Double tap them with the movement for 16 inches. Burn this. I'm already down to armor 4 because I have great weapons, so they can't use their shields. So let's go down to 2.
Why not?
Why not erase both units? So that's usually how I use it when I just need to delete something that is far away.
Okay.
So it's not an ability that I use too often. It's not like every combat. It's like when I need to take something away. And it's going to cost me my own unit as well.
You think long and hard. Basically, you need to be fresh to consider.
But I mean, when I go in there with 16 great weapon attacks, you have to cancel 3 successful defense dice. Your unit is going to go away as well.
They're not too bad. Well, not too shabby. I guess one thing to point out, again, with the combat pool, if you do have the fortitude up, you can get 3 defense dice easily.
But I mean,
for the rare. So if you feel like you need to do this, but the attack specs, you want to keep your unit alive, you combine it with the fatigue, and there's 3 extra defense dice. You might see yourself through.
We have some combinations to get more defense dice further on as well. But what I need to say as well, that should have been pointed out before, is that the Crusaders are not a warband that you can activate a lot of units and do a lot of stuff with. You have to pick 1 or 2 units and try to harvest your battle board as good as possible.
Juice them up.
So that's if you have 2 common dice left over, you put 1 on Dorilame and 1 on Victory, and you send the guys in and just get so many attack dice with your great axes that your opponent can't take it. So it's quite expensive because you need 4 or 5 dice to do it, or if you use the We Obey rule. But if you need to get something away, then it's the way to do it.
Victory, so that's a common. Dorlame's a common. You could use the common dice. So as long as the virtues are unlocked, you should be able to.
I mean,
if you want to use all your dice for this, you should be able to do it.
It is expensive. But then again, some games when you play the Sacred Ground, and you have those 5 or 6 Hearthguard holding a piece of terrain, you just need to send them in to clear them out. Because you can't go in there with warriors. They're just going to kill you.
This is my hill, baby.
So that's what I usually do. Just send them in. It's the Great Axe Warrior Hearthguard, they're a throwaway unit. That just need to be in the face of the opponent.
Grinding them down. Cool. All right, let's go up to the Siege. This looks to be the only ability that requires 2 dice. So This seems to make sense. If you could potentially be stuck with only 5 or 6 dice total, having too many 2 dice abilities could really hurt. So seems to make sense. So this requires Justice Virtue to be unlocked. This is an activation ability. Activate each of your units. So that sounds like everybody for a movement or a shooting. Any activated unit that did not engage an enemy in melee or does not cause at least 1 casualty with a shooting takes a fatigue after its activation.
Yeah.
So no choice. Everybody's going to be activated.
Yeah.
But depending on your plan, that might not be too shabby.
No. It's an okay ability. I think it's quite expensive for what it does. I mean, usually if I need to activate my entire warband, I can get around that with regular activations. And I don't run the risk of getting fatigues. And of course, you can always use the boss first to clear off some of the fatigue. But then again, it's a second rare. You need a second rare to do that. So it's a good ability. I've used it like sometimes when I need to like multi attack a unit. Maybe I have like 3 units within range of a target, so I activate one first for shooting, then I activate the next one to go in and engage, and then I activate the third one to go in and finish them off. Because you activate them one at a time and resolve each action. So sometimes it's usable when you need to like really engage a target, but I don't use it to like move off my entire force. I think that's too expensive for that.
No, decent ability. I mean, we've all had games where you will activate all your guys for a melee because everybody's all smushed together. And,
of course.
Typically, you're down to a couple of units that you don't want to engage with. But
if you need to activate 3 units, then it could be efficient because you only use 2 dice instead of 3. But as long as you only want to activate 1 or 2, you're better off spending those dice on activations and other abilities, I think.
Yeah, and then towards the end of the game too, you have your little pissant units that are depleted. So this is a way to just do what you want to do, but then those units can get out of the way, and you don't care if they get a fatigue or not. If you can get that one Hearthguard guy 16 inches to the end zone to save his bacon there.
Yeah.
So you get a little extra bang for your buck, because a lot of times, depending on your warband, but towards the end of the game, you got enough dice to move your combat units, but then you're like that one guy is stuck there, and he could go out, he's ready to blow and fatigue everybody, but you just can't spend a dice on him, because you're like, well, if everything goes perfect, then I won't have to worry about this one guy, fatiguing everybody. Say, this you can activate whatever you want and then get those guys out of dodge too. So not too shabby.
It's a decent ability, but again, I don't use it that often.
Okay.
Maybe it could be used like if you build the levy army when you have so many units with levy. Maybe then it could be useful. I don't know, but I tend to use like activate 1 or 2 units a turn with my army, and then 1 for the We Obey.
Okay.
So often I don't need to activate all of them.
You don't want to penalize everybody. Just to
exactly.
give everyone
and it's because it activates your warlord as well, and he would get a fatigue if he doesn't engage. So you don't want to run around with him and take more fatigue than you need.
No, boss risk can only go so far, my man.
But the rares are better spent on the final 2 abilities, as you will see.
So Ascalon. So this is the first one requiring the Fortitude, the purple. So around turn 3 or 4, is this half the time these will be unlocked, or the majority of the time? You can.
Yeah, as I said, I usually chuck like 4 dice in turn 1 and try to get the Fortitude or the Justice, of course. And if I get it, that's great, because then I'm in control of the game. If I don't get it, then I have to play like more defensively and try to get it later. But once you get it, then your opponent is in for some.
Life is good.
Life is good. Your opponent is up against some hard-hitting units.
So this is a melee ability using any one of your Saga dice. Can only be used on the Warlord or the Knights, so the Hearthguard, same as before. gain 5 attack dice. I see a little thing in parentheses here, plus 5 defense dice if a rare was discarded. So, wow, I bet that might be the biggest upgrade for using a rare dice that I've seen. I can't think of anything juicier than that offhand.
Yeah, this is a really good ability. Of course, as usual, you can spend a common dice if you don't have the rare dice, and you still get 5 attack dice. But if you do have the rare, your warlord basically can go in with 10 attack dice and 5 defense dice and just wipe out a small unit of warriors, maybe. So it's a really tasty ability.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely something you can combine with victory if you wanted on your not a throwaway unit, but a unit you like to keep around. 5 defense dice.
As you can see, you don't need to have.
But
it's dicey, but you don't need to have 4 models to activate this ability. So you can have like a unit of 3 knights, so to speak, and just add 5 dice for a common. If you just need to have them combat efficient in the end.
Yeah, and if they are 4 more, why not pop Doraleum? Get the just add 10 attack dice. For 2 common dice. So once if you do meet all the conditions and requirements as set out in the Battleboard contractual agreement, you can easily get a 8-man Hearthguard unit up to 26 attacks. Very, very nicely for a little 8-pack.
Usually, I tend to try to force a charge with my warlord and 8 Hearthguard on horses, and use these attack dice to just blow enemy units up. That's usually how I play. I don't want to get stuck in a grind, because you won't have the dice to stay alive for so many turns. You can't have both offensive abilities and keep dice on your board for your opponent's turn. So I try to find a good spot and just shove the warlord and
get those dice.
Just form up the wedge formation and go in there.
I think that's how they did it. They just went in.
As I said, in the late game, I've had so many games when you only have your warlord and maybe 2 or 3 units left, and you roll 3 dice or 4 dice, put down a common here, activate your warlord for free, and then he can go in with 10 attack dice and just clear off a small unit of warriors.
That's
in the late game,
very true.
When your opponent is slow on dice as well, your warlord becomes very efficient here to just clear off.
Some of the boards can be really tough to generate attack dice towards the end of the game,
and as I said,
very
victory,
handy.
If I throw in my if I haven't thrown away my Hearthguard with the Great Axes yet, you can use this to get defense dice if you want to try keep some of them alive when they're down to armor 2.
I mean, just even normally, they're going to be armor 4 regardless. So
and you can use it on your opponent's turn as well. You don't need to engage, so you can use it defensively as well. And just stay on a hill. So if you come up here, I'm going to have 5 attack dice and 5 defense dice.
What do you want to do? Come at me, bro. Oh, liking it. Okay.
It's nice.
Final one here. Birth of a Kingdom. It's an uncommon or a rare. And this is a melee ability, as is appropriate. Your unit may re-roll all attack dice that fail to hit their target. I'm liking it. Reduce your armor by 1 unless you discarded a rare. So, interesting. Kind of a penalty if you don't use the rare. That's pretty awesome. Obviously, combining it with all those other abilities could do some serious damage. Not too many abilities to reroll stuff in Saga. We know the power of Uller. We've all experienced that every time we face a Viking many times. So having something like that is pretty awesome for uncommon.
It's nice.
Single dice. Very, very fair. Bang for your buck. Another option for your suicide unit, just to really hammer it home.
And again, I mostly tend to use this with my warlord and the mounted Hearthguard. Like if I go in, I can, and I get Ascalon off with maybe just a common. So having those 10 dice on your warlord and reroll. Because of course I reduce my armor, but if he has his friends nearby, then they will take the hits. So it's a really good ability. And also, what needs to be said is that this can be used on warriors. So it's one of those combat abilities that I can use on my warriors.
That's true. I mean, looking through the other abilities, basically this is it, right?
Yep. So
not a bad one for
usually
those
in the
guys.
late game, as always, when we fight with those small shit units, I go in with my 5 warriors against somebody else's 5 or 6 warriors. Having those rerolls can make the difference between losing or winning a game, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's handy at any level of attack dice you're generating.
Yeah, of course.
Really nice going against those Hurt Guard.
Yep.
5/5 armor guys, trying to take out the Warlord. Very useful.
Yep.
So this one would also, if you took the Pilgrim Force, this is an ability that basically their only attack ability as well.
Yeah.
As
I said,
shooting stuff.
If you take Peter the Hermit, 2 units of levies can use abilities that are mainly used for Hurt Guard as well.
Okay.
So then you can select 2 units, and they're called they're called like Frenzied Pilgrims or something like that. And they basically get to use all of the blue activations and the Ascalon as well, because they're counting as Hurt Guard for activation purposes.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
we'll have to chat about old Peter further sometime. I'm gonna
try him out.
Time crunch right now, but okay, awesome. So overall, pushing you a little bit towards the Hearth Guard due to all the abilities, but definitely a very melee-oriented board. Kind of a couple movement shenanigans potentially, and some ways to shed fatigue. So pretty decent mix of abilities. There are stipulations throughout there that could potentially hurt you, but if everything's going your way, if you get get the purple on that first roll there, you're sitting pretty good. You've definitely got some really scary abilities here.
I mean,
that can really delete units, so it might really change how you play.
Yeah, as I said, taking the cross is one of the best abilities on the board, because you really get to control the game. You control where to engage, and you can reach people with fewer activations than normally. So that's a really nice ability.
I mean, if the warlord, they leave their warlord out with these melee abilities, you're not gonna luck through it by making all your blocks. So I play, as I said, I play 8 Hearth Guard on horses, usually with my warlord. 8 Hearth Guard on foot with the great axes, and then for my 2 points of warriors, I usually take and make 1 unit of 9 with spears and shields, and 1 unit of 7 with crossbows. And that 7 is just because I get 4 shots anyway, and I just get 1 extra body into the combat warrior units. How it goes. So I was gonna ask kind of how you use the warriors. So I mean, the crossbows seem good. You don't have any special stuff to juice them up, but the crossbows on their own are decent for the warriors at least. You don't have to worry about that extra fatigue every time they shoot. So they can be a threat. I know cavalry likes to
take on
stay well away from those guys.
Yeah, I've had some games where I don't want to engage in melee yet, so I just pump into the combat pool and just multi-activate 1 unit for 2 or 3 shots with extra attack dice before I engage.
That kind of works
they're
well.
They're always handy. It's not like they're winning my games, but they're handy.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If you have to, where you're like, well, really want to try to get the blue or the purple before I go in, but I don't just want to waste my turn. Just burn these crossbow guys up. They can.
Because I can use the boss first if I should roll the rare in my orders phase after generating the virtues. If you get the rare there, then you can take away at least one of their fatigue. And usually I use my 9 warriors to like block off parts of the board where I don't want to get flanked and stuff. So I usually don't send them in like as the first combat unit. I use them to like guard my flanks and guard my cavalry. And in some games where we played like certain objectives, they are sent in like the last turn to just pick up an objective or like kill off an enemy unit that is down to like 4 guys that are like holding an objective. Then I will send in the 9 warriors, but they're usually not the first ones to go in.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting, pushing you towards fewer, larger units. So you don't have any. You need every one of those guys for their Saga dice generation. So not a lot of versatility with number of units and being able to control the board. But everybody's quicker; they can get to where they need to with taking the cross. So is any scenarios particularly tricky for you that you found out? Looks like from a troop selection point, you're fairly well balanced. And with movement stuff, taking the cross always is going to help for those scenarios where you have to be at a certain place. So it seems like
I like to play Sacred Ground. Is one of my favorite scenarios, of course, because it's very you need to like play both against your opponent and against the time, because you need to stay in the terrain areas and get your points. So you can absolutely contest all 3 of these because you're going to have the movement to do it, and then you have some really hard-hitting abilities to where like they have to get on the hill or whatever, and they have to, at some point you have to set yourself up for getting hit on the enemy's turn, and not a lot can withstand the combined might of these abilities if you can get them all off. I mean, I don't like scenarios where you get like when you have to like attack like a bottleneck area or something. So I don't like the river crossing scenario because, as I said, I like to play in control of the movement. So I like to control the engagement. So usually I want to like engage from the sides where my opponent will get fewer dice, because if he's in a line, if I can ride around with 2 activations and attack him from the side, then I will get to attack with all my dice and he will only generate fewer. So any scenario basically when you get to attack like head on is a bad choice for Crusaders.
Okay.
Because of course you're gonna hit hard, but you're gonna die as well, because most of your abilities reduce your armor if you use them without the rare dice.
Yes, that is true. So fighting against the Crusaders, it looks like a priority would be trying to get the Hearthguard units down under 4 to at least reduce your options. If you didn't have the Fortitude unlocked and somehow you got their little 4-pack, your Hearthguard under 4, you really wouldn't have hardly any, basically no combat options.
Then they're like out of breath.
Caught out of armor. Didn't give us a chance to suit up. So that could be useful, but most of the time you will have the purple stuff, which is still pretty good. So
at least in late parts of the game.
The total unit deletion will be hampered if you can't get the Dora Lamb or Victory working in conjunction. But Ascalon and Birth of a Kingdom together are still could still
they're really good.
Quite a bit of damage. So.
And I mean, as I said in the beginning, the tricky part with the Crusaders is to know when to switch from defensively to offensively playing.
Going all out.
Because they're not like the Vikings where you can just throw every unit ahead and just hack stuff to pieces. Because if you throw them in when you don't have your board unlocked, then you're fighting on equal grounds and you don't have your abilities, and your opponent has his abilities. So that's a bad choice. You need to play very defensively and outmaneuver with taking the cross, and then when you finally unlock your good virtues, then you attack.
And then you go in.
That's the tricky part, I think. But other than that, the board is quite straightforward, I think. There are not that many combinations.
Yeah, I agree, and it looks like a fun board to play.
They're really
fun to play against. I mean, you can take your licks, but any abilities that reduce your stuff down and you're fighting in combat, your opponent will at least get to roll dice back.
Yeah,
and it's fun when both guys die. Even if they get the worst of it, they're usually still pretty happy that they killed a few of your guys, so they don't mind that you wiped out the whole unit.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm thinking about, this is cool. I like this board. I was thinking about, there's a few different war bands like that. The Strathclyde and the Norse Gales are similar, where everybody's going to die. So this looks like another war band in that similar vein. So I think it'd be fun to play one like that. So
like most of my games, actually, now that you say it, I'm usually down to like the Warlord and maybe 4 or 5 warriors, maybe like 2 Hearth cards left when the dust settles.
Yeah, I mean the Hearth cards are good and you need them, but it's not a lot of wounds and they're susceptible to the opponent's battleboard tricks. When you have half as many guys. That usually that pip of armor doesn't really protect you that much when they stack their abilities and everything.
You need when I send in the cavalry, I need to have like the Ascalon up when I get extra defense dice or stuff like that. Otherwise, they will just die as easily as the enemy.
Yeah, and then from a model perspective, you got a lot of cool options. Are you using obviously the Fireforge has the full complement of Crusader appropriate miniatures. What do you use?
I used Perry miniatures actually.
Oh yeah.
The tricky part with the Crusades are that the different Crusades, like the later Crusades, have other equipment than the earlier Crusades.
It's true. Yeah, it's a very it's a couple hundred years later. So
and most like this newer technology and equipment replaced the older ones, like the kettle hats replaced the nasal helmets and stuff like that. So I have the Perry Crusaders, and they're from the first Crusade, basically.
Okay, yeah, so I mean
that's very Norman-like.
Kind of what the Saga, universe is getting out the early
I've
Crusades.
seen like what are they called? I think they're called Crusader miniatures or something like that.
Oh, very appropriate. I think I've seen them. They had some really Byzantines nice, that I was checking out.
Yeah, they also have some really nice Crusaders from like the 1250s, with kettle hats and stuff like that. Look really nice, but I can't mix them in with my force because they would break off too much.
So it's kind of an iconic time period for historical miniature manufacturers. So as compared to if you're doing the Byzantines or something, there's not very many options. But with you got there's a whole kids like knights. So
I also seen some. I think I saw some on the Saga forum who used like the Teutonic Order, who were crusading in the around the what do you call it? The Baltic states.
Like the Eastern kind of
during
Baltic
the 1300s. Then you could use them as Crusaders, but like with 300 years after the First Crusade. And they have like other equipment and a whole other style. But
that has to be.
You could use this as well.
To be said, any kind of military orders could easily work for these guys. Same with like the Normans, as we mentioned.
Exactly.
So there's a few different options once you get your guys painted up. One of the great things about Saga, getting the multiple board bang for your buck here. So, okay, well, I think that about wraps it up for this session here. We might come back later, talk about Peter, some of the other guys, perhaps.
Jeffrey. I tried the other hero, Jeffrey de Bouillon.
Jeffrey. All right, I haven't heard about Jeff, but
Jeff, the hero of the Orlean, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for chatting. Turned out really well. We'll probably circle back around, get your thoughts, maybe on Saga 2.0 as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably coming out right around when this is going out, actually. So, should be good. Thanks again for your enthusiasm and everything else, helping out. Definitely appreciate it, and I'll catch you later.
Yeah. Take care.
Have a good one. Saga!